The conversation around COVID-19 has been going on for some time now, and it's affected all of us in different ways. The government keeps sending out mixed messages, and I think that it's really important that people know what's really going on. My name is Matt, I'm a junior doctor working in London, and today I want to talk to you guys about why it's so important for us all to be talking about COVID-19. I recently tweeted about some protests that I encountered on New Year's Eve walking out from my late shift, and the response that I got from the community has been incredible. I think that there has definitely been a lot of people and comments that I resonate with, and I'm really glad that people are as outraged as I was that evening about the activities that were happening. I did, however, also notice quite a few comments from people claiming that COVID was fake, hospitals were empty, this was a government-made virus, and honestly, at the very beginning when I first started reading them, I felt quite upset. To see people denying something that was having such a drastic effect on everything and everyone I know, when I'm watching people come in and dying of it while I'm at work, it made me feel really sick and it was difficult to accept. However, emotions aside, the world is a really big place, and with any argument comes two sides of a coin. When I'm faced with difficult positions and emotions, I try to take a step back and reevaluate the causes or etiology behind how I feel and the situation that I'm in. So then I tried to move beyond my anger and understand why they felt the way they did. And I guess I wondered whether it was chosen ignorance or whether it was just that they needed some help seeing the truth for whatever reason. And this leads me to my first point about why we need to be talking about COVID-19. Because conversation drives information availability. For some people that think this way, this might literally just be all that they know. Nowadays, news and social media deliver mixed messages which can be really confusing, and it's easy for people's thought processes to be skewed by the availability of information. I also know that social circles can be very overwhelming. When your entire social media platform, all your friends and all your family think this way, and so-called experts on your feed are posting certain statistics or various facts about the pandemic, it's hard not to fall into a sense of security that this is really what's happening out there. This doesn't necessarily mean that the individual themselves is flawed though, it just means that they just haven't been given enough information to make an informed decision. By speaking out and sharing resources and perspective, we make this information more readily available on social media to public, to empower these people to think for themselves. And this way, even though I may be thinking a little optimistically, but I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but hopefully this way we can change some minds. The other reason that I think it's really important to be talking about COVID-19 is that we need to look at things from the bottom up. Let's start from the inverse. So much of our information comes from a top-down manner. If you think of any system or company as a pyramid, with the workers down at the bottom, managers one step higher, department heads a level higher, and the CEOs at the very top, the size of each level reflecting the number of people in there and their work time leverage, and so on and so forth. In the case of the pandemic and where we're getting our information from, the top is essentially the policymakers, so the government, as well as the media outlets that share these policies and share these broadcasts with us, which in these cases would be large news outlets like the BBC, CNN, and so forth. What this means is that although these messages are highly curated, the messages they are delivering are generalized to a large population of thousands to millions of people, whereas they might not necessarily reflect the situation going on locally in your demographic or neighborhood. Sometimes these messages can be shrouded in agenda. The nature of the media and the delivery of the people can determine how exactly this message is delivered, and it may not necessarily reflect the situation accurately. Also, I don't want to criticize the government, but I am criticizing the government. You can't make a change in policy that says that schools are open one day and the next day decide to have a full lockdown of the country. You just can't. It creates confusion, it creates controversy, people don't know who to listen to. I mean, no wonder they don't know who to believe. To find out what's really happening, you need a bottom-up approach, and here's why. You can't appreciate a city's sights and intricate beauties just by flicking through a travel guide. Similarly, you can't appreciate what it's like to be a professional football player just by watching them on TV. To understand how it feels, what's really happening, you need to be there and experience it really happening. Let's go back to the pyramid. While the decision makers, the CEOs, are sat at the top, most of the work in the healthcare industry is done by people at the bottom, the ones that see patients, the pharmacists, nurses, healthcare assistants, and doctors. People at the bottom are the ones seeing the situation at hand, treating COVID patients and dealing with the consequences of decisions such as PPE shortages and budget cuts leading to staff shortages. And these are the people that we should really be listening to when we want to assess things in this pandemic, like what's happening in hospitals, how staff are coping, and general morale. But bear in mind that this bottom layer consists of two sides, away from those providing the care itself, or the people receiving the care. And this is every single one of us that has been affected by COVID in some form, whether that be illness or financial difficulty or being away from family. Every single one of us has been affected in some way by this pandemic. And we all have our own unique hardships and perspectives. I will never truly understand the difficulties and hardships that you are going through in the same way that you might never be able to experience mine. Unless you tell me so, I'll never know. And nothing will ever change unless we can speak up. The more the truth is said, the louder we say it, the bigger a difference that we can make, and the higher the chance that we can be heard and make a difference. Discussion leads to shared opinion, and gathering voices leads to change. Mankind has always worked better in unity, and the world has never been more united in opinion and voice when it comes to this matter. I saw it firsthand in the responses pouring into my tweet, with tons of people coming in, supporting the NHS, speaking out for me. And I think that everyone has a role to play when it comes to tackling important healthcare issues like COVID or inequalities. While social media is amazing for bringing views together and disseminating information, sometimes it can deliver the wrong information. And the more all of us speak up, the more the truth is out there. It will drown out the fake and the negative views. I'm grateful personally for my social media channels and my YouTube channel where I can talk freely on a voice of my own away from the hospital, trust, news agency and everything else about how I feel, my personal experiences and trying to help people in different ways. The world needs to know what is happening and the world needs to be talking about it. So what I'm trying to say is, as individuals, we should be speaking out to raise awareness about issues important to us and things that we see are wrong in the community around us. Going forward, how do we do this? Well, it's as easy as sharing your thoughts on social media platforms, speaking out to your family and friends and getting them involved, having conversations with those around you about your and their beliefs, challenging cultures that you think deliver a harmful message against others. Speak up to help others understand the seriousness of the situation and make your voice heard to overwhelm misinformation. So I hope you'll join me in trying to make a difference. We all have a role to play in this pandemic, so let's fight this thing together.